exploration.
You take initiative to go out, to explore, to see, to experience, to observe.
And vision.
Vision relates to dreams that you have to close your eyes or just imagine like how it will be for the life that you want to lead, like you design for it. Hello everybody, welcome back to Henri and Mike. Today is the 21st of July 2022. It is a Thursday. At the moment it's about 10:28 a.m. in the morning. So we came here, have our brekkie, and now we are just having some tasty croissant. And we're going to record our episode here today. Before we start, we want to introduce to you this place. So where we are right now is called Lau Pa Sat. It is right in the central financial district of Singapore. Lau means old. Pa Sat, I think it's Malay, means wet market. Or it can be called Telok Ayer Market. It has been here since 150 years ago. The designer was James McRitchie, the guy who designed McRitchie Reservoir here in Singapore. So since 1973, this place has become like a national monument. So be it you're local or tourist, whenever you come to Singapore, this is a very good place to come and savor the local and international food. So that's why we are here today. So perhaps next time when you come to Singapore, this is a place for you to drop by, have a look, have a taste, savor the local delicacy. Right, Mike, so how's the week going?
So far, so good. It's the 4th day of the week. Weekend is coming, so I'm pretty glad about that. We have been working a fair bit for the last couple of days. Pretty busy this week, really. Busy is a good thing, right? I mean, better than nothing to do.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a word for this week already?
I don't really have a word, but one thing that amazed me this past week is about James Webb telescope.
Oh, like NASA in the States, they released that
Yes.
beautiful shots, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what about that? What have you realized or what have you thought about it?
I think what caught my attention was when President Biden, he first shared about the photo last week, and then I started to look more into it, and then I started to look more into space after many years. Yeah, and I was really blown away by the resolution that came out of the telescope. You know, there's this Carina Nebula. It's one of the faraway interstellar in the sense. They showed before photo and after photo. The before is by another telescope which was launched maybe in 1990s. It's called the Hubble telescope.
Right.
And then now the James Webb telescope. So they put it side by side. And you can see a stark difference. The details, the colors,
Resolution.
the resolution is sharp.
I think
so
the color
sharp.
was really the most amazing part. I saw some of them from BBC and the local channel News Asia's picture
Yeah.
that were just stunning.
Exactly. I was like, wow, with technology advancements since the last telescope, which I was talking about, the Hubble, and right now the James Webb, it has been like a good 20 years in terms of the technology advancement. So therefore, when they launched it, and then right now when they snap a photo of the outer space, you can see a huge difference. Yeah, and then I went a little bit deeper into the technology behind why is it like James Webb is able to produce such a sharp resolution as compared to the Hubble, purely because of this difference in the way that they capture light. You know, in light, there's this thing called the electromagnetic spectrum, right? So from your gamma wave, microwave, all the way to your ultraviolet and then to your infrared. So I think for Hubble, it utilized the technology that specialized more, or rather focused more on ultraviolet, the UV light, as well as what the normal light that naked human eyes can see.
Okay.
Yeah, but for James Webb, it focused a lot on human naked eyes and mainly on the infrared. So I was thinking like, you know, it's just light. Why such a huge difference?
Yeah.
So there's a science behind it because, you know, in space, outer space, the light you see, it's from a planet or from a star. It's really very far away. We're not talking about maybe from US to UK, that kind of distance. We are talking about in light years.
Yeah.
By the way, one light year, what I found out, something interesting, is 300,000 km per second.
Kilometer per second.
Per second. Just some reference, right? When you see the moon, it takes around like 1 to 2 seconds to see it.
So that's like 300, so 600,000
something
kilometers.
like that. That's what I read. And then for the
For 2
sun,
seconds.
it takes around 8 minutes. So it's as good as sunrise and sunset. If it's unblocked, it's around 8 minutes. So that's the time it takes for the sunlight to reach us on Earth.
Okay.
And that's how fast it is. You can just imagine.
It's fascinating.
Fascinating, right? Back to the thing about the distance. Why is there a difference between Hubble and James Webb? And the technology is that James Webb, it essentially can capture light much further away. The stars that emit light from much further away from Earth, because as light travels from the far away stars to us, there will be energy loss, and then you will not be able to see the light source. So a lot of times it's based on the infrared that they pick up. Therefore, there are more sources of light they are able to detect.
Okay.
As compared to Hubble, which is more on ultraviolet and also the human naked eyes and just a little bit of infrared. And another thing about this is that the distance where the telescope is for Hubble is it orbits around the Earth and is serviceable by NASA. So essentially it's nearer to Earth.
Right.
But for James Webb telescope, it's situated much further away. It orbits around the sun.
Okay.
Just like how the Earth orbits around the sun. And it's designed in a way that is not serviceable. It's self-service basically. So,
but it is not infinite though. I mean, it's finite. So at some point you'll die and it dies.
I think so. Yeah, that's the way they design it. But because of this technology advancement, you can already make better use, even though the time span might be short. But you can capture a lot of data and that help humankind.
So the technology is very intricate. That's why it resulted like a clear resolution of what we've seen in the last few days from those photos released by NASA.
Exactly.
But what does it tell you?
I thought to myself, when's the last time I really looked into space, you know? And the last recollection I have is when I was in the military, when you're camping outfield, that's where you see the stars. You know, so it's a little bit like stargazing, but in a military way. And before that, it was just when we're younger, back in Taiwan, when we visit grandma at Zhongli. That's the time where you will see a lot of stars. And that's my closest interaction with outer space. So I was thinking like, is it relevant to us? You know, with this kind of technology, it's good to see that it's good photo, tell you that there are a lot of things out there in the outer space. But how is it relevant to us? I thought about it, you know, like there's a lot of similarities that I see in the exploration of space and what we are going through in life generally. So technology advancement, you can already see that the outer space as we explore, it starts to expand more and more. You will never get to understand or get to know the whole scope of how big the outer space is. And I realized that, oh, okay, it's very much like personal growth, the things you want to learn is never ending.
Right.
So a lot of focus, like what the NASA researcher and the astronauts they are doing is really focused on the process, trying to figure out what they already know as they navigate, and they'll find out something new. And then if they deem that is more suitable for the betterment of humankind, then they will go and find. It's very much like life, right? As you navigate through life from your 10s to 20s to 30s, and then you find something that is more suitable for you, and then you go and find out more about it. So it's never ending in terms of the pursuit of knowledge or personal growth in any sense that you define it, but ultimately it's more about the process of you doing it. So to some extent, the biggest question that a lot of this outer space explorer they are looking for is, what's the meaning of life? So what if we find another civilization, they call it alien maybe? Is that going to change a lot of things that we know already? You know, like throughout human history, there's a couple of episodes, in fact, that human beings send messages out to the outer space.
It reminded me of the movie that I watched with Mom 2 nights ago, maybe. It's called Estrada. I think it was filmed in 2019. During that period of time in the film, it kind of portrayed that Earth or Earthlings, we have already achieved the technology that's so advanced and so intricate that we're able to travel from Earth to the Moon, to the Mars, to even beyond. And there are people whereby living in Mars or born in Mars or living in Moon and born in Moon. So there's always this different comfort that's being brought to the different station on the outer planets. So this protagonist, Brad Pitt's role, he was being sent to Moon and to Mars in a way to actually go further to Neptune, where his father was last reported, because his father has his life mission of finding out, is it really life out there apart from Earthlings? And he went on, despite the fact that there was so many dramas occur between him and his crew members. The same thing happened between Brad Pitt and his crew member. But eventually Brad Pitt arrived at Neptune. They were just stunning planets, and he actually found his dad still the last one surviving in the spaceship. What his dad was trying to say is that on the outer surface, they can't determine whether there's any life form. So they have to really go deeper, but all his crew members gave up. There's two extreme thoughts there. One is just that people who try and who don't see the result and they think that it is time to let it go. But there's also another extreme like his father, whereby he just believed as his life mission that there are life out there. Yeah, so he persists on, but at a different cost. Personally, I do believe that there are lives out there. We're not the only one in the whole solar system. But if there are really, and we come to contact with them, it becomes so obvious and prominent. I think that it will serve as a purpose for us as Earthlings to be truly united. And all these political things that were going on, or the war that's being raged between nations, poverty, whatsoever it is, it will help us to stand together. If that's the case, then our world will definitely be a better place. That's a utopian state. But would that be the case? I don't know, because human nature is very different.
Yep.
So coming back to that growth mindset, I think it's a good thing to have that in life. But there's also a lot of people that don't necessarily have that growth mindset because they believe that what they have learned is enough and they still want to enjoy life in a way that's presented to them. Yeah, so I think it also depends on what you want in life.
Yeah, I think so. It's very much dependent on what you want in life, you know. To conclude that point I was saying is really about space exploration. How is it relevant to life in general? And I realized that space exploration is unlimited. There's no end to it. Very much like personal growth.
Well, don't you think that's a very interesting thought in the sense that, you know, when you look at the pictures that's being released by NASA and you look at those beautiful shots from above us, I mean, I just thought about it. It makes all your worries so minute.
It is.
You know, what you go through day to day, to some extent, it's kind of nonsense. You know?
Well, I mean, a lot of time it's like you got to find the meaning. You're in the pursuit of what life means to you, right? So therefore you go about
What does life mean to you?
I don't know. I'm still going through it. I don't really have a purpose. So that brings me to the second point. In fact, when you seek personal growth, it's always good to have some kind of dream that's very big. They are trailblazers, our forefathers, that dream big and they put effort to make it a reality. So one I can think about is the person who discovered America, Christopher Columbus. You know, during the era that he was living in, people actually believe that the world is flat. The moment you reach the end of the world, the ship will basically drop off the cliff in a sense. He was looking at trying to establish a trading route to India from the west, because back then most of the time they traveled down from the European side,
So through the Atlantic Ocean,
Atlantic
along
Ocean,
the African coast,
exactly,
to Cape Town down under.
Cape Town,
Cape of Good Hope.
Yeah, so that's where, and then they go to India. So that's to the east basically. So he was trying to find a trading route to the west. That's how America was discovered by chance, you know. But the point here is he had a dream of trying to establish that trading route from the west to India. He put effort to do it.
Okay, he discovered American continent, but what he actually discovered wasn't really the USA today. Bahamas.
He landed in Bahamas back then. The point I'm trying to say is that was back in like 1400. Fast track to today's world, we have entrepreneurs like Elon Musk with his Tesla trying to change the world with electric vehicle. In terms of outer space, he has this thing called SpaceX, space exploration basically. So he has the vision of moving humans to Mars. There's another opportunity in another planet. Even though the circumstances and the environment in Mars is different, his idea of this thing is so big, so untouchable, so far away from reaching, you know, that it scares some people like, I don't think it's going to happen, don't waste your time. But he persists, and right now with the development in the last 10 to 20 years with SpaceX, he managed to launch, I think the latest edition is Falcon 11 if I'm not wrong, and he has successfully improved the process along the way as well, trying to make the space shuttle and the launcher reusable. That's something that is unimaginable 50 years back or 100 years back. So this thing about dream, you know, is so big that it pushes you to put your dream to become a reality. If not because of the dream, people will not go and do things, and we will not know what's out there actually.
It's good that you have this observation. That's always the first step of awakening, right? But then you have to reflect further down. So when I ask you what's your dream, can you think about that? What makes you leave?
I think that's also the thing that made me realize that, I need to think harder, right? About like, what's my dream? It's always about doing something and then trying to explore more about yourself. Like a couple of episodes, we talk about Sir James Dyson. Stay curious, go and do something, and don't be a grandstander. So I think it's also a process thing that you're trying to do. It's good to have dreams, but not everybody set out to know your dream right from the very start.
Yeah, so you have to go through the process. I mean, that's easier said. Let's go a bit deeper. What are your possible dreams then? My dreams are very simple. I would like to control my time even more, like have a better dedication of my time in terms of controlling like how I allocate the time of things I want to do. I still have this thing of splitting my time between Europe and Asia. So ideally 6 months in Europe and 6 months in Asia. Why? Because I want to spend my time, which is a limited resources, to people who I love. And then I feel like I'm approaching them slowly in whichever sense. You got me? Like this time around in Singapore, I mean, this is my 5th month in Singapore. Also spent a month in Indonesia and Bali. So which is good. The reason why allocating that time is so important for me is because then I'm more conscious how I spend the time with whom and what. And not just going through like a normal daily corporate things. You got what I mean?
I see. I think for me, I do have a slight discovery about that. Coming from a corporate setting, a lot of times that you have to do things based on what you sign up for. That means what the organization wants to do. Then you'll start to think, okay, which area in terms of like professional skills that you want to build. So I like to interact with people and I want to build something basically. So I start to see myself gearing more towards things like market-driven stuff as compared to accounting, for instance. I know what it is, but that's not something that I would like to do. And I eliminate and then I'll go towards something that suits me. So for instance, like business development, talking to people, reaching out to the market, bring things to go to the market to build stuff. So that's something I discovered professionally. Other than that, as we see in the office, having a sedentary lifestyle, I don't have enough time in the nature. Going to the mountain, something I like a lot. Like a couple of years ago, we went back to Taiwan to climb a mountain. Yeah. And 10 years ago, we went on Camino. That was definitely one of the best highlights in my life, you know. Combining the love of nature, the outdoor, together with spending time with those that matters, I think these are kind of things that I have identified that touch me to the core. So to some extent, I'm working towards the dream that I want to do. Because the example I've given about Christopher Columbus and Elon Musk is that they found something, built something, a physical product. I don't have that yet, but I believe that as I find out more about myself, the things I'm doing, I might reach there one day.
There's this thing called the odyssey plan. Basically, you design your lifestyle as something that you wake up in the morning, be so excited about it, be it your work, your leisure time, whatever it is. So how it works is that this odyssey plan is you have 3 different routes. First is more like describing the as is, like your current status. Right now where you are, and you continue that for the next 5 years. All these different aspects of your life. From this point, continue 5 years. What would it be like if nothing changed? Where would you be? That's the first one. Second plan is when you have all the money and all the fame and all the status under your belt, what would that Mike look like in 5 years' time? What will he be doing? And the third perspective is when you have nothing, you're less off in the sense of the resources that you hold. What would that Mike be like, will be doing in 5 years' time? And you write that in present tense, all these 3 different options, and have a very perspective. So when you write, trying to think too much, just let it run like a brain dump, just write it down. And then at the end of it, you go away and come back, have a look and see which one you like to associate that more with. So there are different possibilities of how your life can look like, could look like. So it's just like how you make that decision. But how you make that decision is very aligned to what you want in life. And what you want in life is really associated with what are your aspirations, what are your dreams. And you need to ask yourself deeply why you want to pursue that. I have done that 2 years ago, and I drew up a vision board based on the pictures, how I see myself, where I will be, and what will I be doing. As I mentioned before, I want to be able to split my time between Asia and Europe. So which means that the normal corporate job will probably not be suitable for me unless there's like a remote work opportunity there. Then I can control my time. That's one option. The second option is to do your own stuff. So that's why I've been investing a lot of time, a lot of resources into teaching and educating myself how to do this new media, what we are doing right now. Like Henri and Mike is one of them, like Just Henri, more of the storytelling of my personal experiences, and also German with Henri in terms of language learning, specifically tailored to German and English crowds. I see that's valuable for me. Those are values, and those are things that I will wake up and want to do. So the first layer is more like, how do I get from this point, like 2 years ago for me, to where I want to be? So which means I need to invest a lot in new skill sets, like how do I do podcasting, how do I film, how do I talk in front of the camera, how do I do storytelling, how do I bring values basically to people who wants to watch or who wants to listen to us. So those are the things I've been training on myself, and different platforms to design. So those are the things that I've never done it before, and those are really good things to re-engage with it, because I think when we're in secondary school, we have arts and craft, and that was the last time I have done that. So right now, it's a lot of creativity going on, but at the same time, thinking in a very business acumen perspective. So that's the first layer. And the second one is all like, you are in different locations where I find it more suitable and most inspirational, who I want to interact with. The third layer is generally more on the spiritual part. How do I meditate? And why do I want to vibrate in terms of energy differently? Usually don't really talk about this vision board with people unless it's probably your very close one. But I think I just point down a few tips. You just have to do it yourself. Like what's important, what's relevant for you, and go for it. So I think once I have that, I kind of put it in front of my study. Every day when I wake up, that's the first thing I see because it reminds you. And this concept is actually taken from a book called The Secret. It was made into a movie as well.
Yeah.
So I watched that with a friend of mine, when I was really down 2 years ago, and then she came over to Berlin. For a few days, she said, Henry, this is the movie we watched together. And then afterwards, we made efforts to build our own visual boards together. No doubt that life is challenging, there's ups and downs, but it's also important not to lose your dream.
A lot of times, you gotta trust your instinct when you go into the unknowns. There's no perfect things like there is a map, an outlook or blueprint for your life. You have to discover along the way.
It's debatable. When you trust your instinct more, you'll make it easier. It might to a certain extent, but it will not necessarily be. There's always a challenge over there because you have to face your reality. So I think there's always a balance there. Like really, like what are the things, what are the value that's important for you? And from that point onwards, you pivot. And not to lose sight of the reality, but at the same time, continue to dream. Let's just conclude like what's the word then after talking about all this very interesting story.
I have two right now. One is exploration, one is observation. I think it started off with observe because I was really thinking what's irrelevant.
Events has to happen first.
Yeah.
So when you explore,
you observe
you hate yourself,
exploration.
You take initiative to go out and to explore, to see, to experience, to observe. Vision, I think it's a good word. Vision relates to dreams that you have to close your eyes or just imagine like how it will be for the life that you want to lead, like you design for it. For that, we can conclude that the two words for this episode are
exploration and vision.
Audience out there, once you listen to this or watch this, maybe you can give us some suggestion. Thumbnail and title can always be changed, right? So welcome your response. And if you're listening from iTunes or Apple, Spotify, do leave us a comment down below so we know what you think about this topic that we just discussed today. And if you're watching from YouTube or listening to us from YouTube, you definitely get to see this beautiful architecture, historic building here in Singapore, Lau Pa Sat. The next time we come to Singapore, definitely drop by with your friends, have a taste of the local delicacy.
Quick tip, this place is very near Central Business District, but this place is open 24/7. Whether it's in the morning, afternoon, or even at night, some people come here for supper actually.
Yeah, especially after you club or you drink, you always come here for supper.
Yeah, this place is very famous for their satay at night. So do come by.
If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe,
to like
and share.
Comment.
That will really help us a lot for the podcast Henri and Mike. Be kind to yourself.
Don't forget to smile.
And keep each other company. We shall see you in the very next episode. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Taking some.